Hi, I'm Bill Arnold. Thank you for listening to this podcast of Real Recovery. There are many more podcasts available at myfaithradio.com. Your support makes this possible. Thank you. Surf's up, George.
It's a catchy tune.
Oh, it's the best. Welcome to Real Recovery. Bill Arnold on this side of the studio, and just across the way, George P. Fraser. Tonight's guests are Bill and George.
Yep. We should see if we can get some holiday surf music.
It's too late for that. We are talking tonight about holidays, and this is a time where the holidays don't create new temptations. They just amplifies the ones you already have, because there's all kinds of festivities and activities and things which will put a magnifying glass on your life and your temptations. And we want to talk about those tonight and ways in which you can do battle.
I think temptation's a good word. And for me, I'm never tempted with something that I kind of don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So getting in a fight with your relatives or an argument politically, religious, sports teams, and also cocktailing.
Yeah.
And I think the important thing is, okay, you're going somewhere, alcohol's being served. What's your plan? Did you even think you needed a plan? What's your sobriety plan for getting through the holidays? And you can say, well, I'm not that bad. Well, if you're in recovery, I would differ with you.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the festivities coming, and it can be joyful feelings, or maybe, Bill, as you always say, the holidays put everything under a microscope.
They do. Mm-hmm.
And you get back and you play your role in a family unit that wasn't great for you. Maybe you act out. Maybe you're nervous, anxious, angry, and a cocktail would solve all those problems.
Mm-hmm. And if your only response is, I will just say no, I think you'll eventually cave. I think you do have to have a plan.
That was Nancy Reagan.
Yeah, I think it was.
Just say no to drugs.
Yeah, but you have to have a plan, because if you just say to yourself, I'll just keep saying no, I think after a while you'll cave. So whether you're tempted to overeat or maybe to overspend, that can be something that can happen to people, spending money they don't have. Maybe you have been tempted in ways because you've had anger issues with your family. Maybe you have had all kinds of things going on this month, and you are tempted to change the way you feel by using something.
I was just thinking about all those things, and yes, and yes. I can parlay that one, Ryan, on going to a family and getting angry, wanting to drink, overeating. And I think you're right to have a plan. And first of all, I think what we do is go to God with a prayer. What is going to help me stay sober? And call people that are in your accountability group, your recovery circle, and talk to people about it. Bill, I found over the years that sharing things with people, we bounce stuff off each other
all the time,
really helps strengthen me and keeps me on the right track. Believe it or not, I get deluded sometimes and miss what's really going on. I try to keep it simple, but my mind can take off on me. And then the voices in my head, the committee, will tell me it's okay, you've been sober a while, whatever. Number one, what I always do is I have a plan. I have a plan for where I'm going, who's going to be there. Just like you have a plan, did you get somebody to buy a present for? I have a friend, Tom R., not the Tom R., but the minor Tom R. that you know, that one year was in charge of his family getting presents for another, and he filled out the slips. And everybody was very disappointed and angry when they realized that he gave everybody a slip with his name on it.
Oh, boy.
And so you've got to prepare a little bit. For me, I always think, okay, what happens when I go to a social event and I walk in the door? What do you want to drink?
Yep.
So I take a Pellegrino with me.
So you just walk in with your own bottle of water.
Yep.
So you're covered.
I'm here to party. Let's go.
You got it. So I've always thought that was a really wise thing to do, because you People walk in with a cup of coffee or a water, and when somebody offers you another drink of some kind, you can say, no, I'm good. I got it.
It eliminates, for me, answering the question, do you want something to
Good
drink?
point.
Of course I do. I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But what it does, too, it's kind of a little comforting prop that when you go into a situation, you got your little buddy there,
Yeah.
which is a bottle of water,
Yeah.
and you can just seamlessly move from the outside in.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, are you going somewhere where people don't know that you're in a recovery? If it's your family, it might be a good time to tell them before you go. And some of the things that I've heard over the years, you when I first got sober, you can drink with us. I was like, hey, that would be a good idea. I should drink with you guys because you drive me right up the wall. But make sure that you pray up before you walk into the situation. If you're prepared to maintain your recovery, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
If you don't, you could get into trouble.
George, why is it if you go to someone's house for breakfast and they say, would you like pancakes? You say, oh, no, I can't. I'm gluten-free. That's no problem saying that. How about you go to a party tonight and somebody says, would you like something to drink? You go, no, I'm just happy with my water. I mean, why is there any kind of pressure to have alcohol?
People want them, it's festive, and a lot of people don't have a problem. And so they want you to join in, and they're being sociable.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of responses, the old ones like, no, I'm allergic to alcohol. I break out in handcuffs, that kind of stuff, which always gets people's attention. But I think the number one thing for people I work with, and I know for me, I need to be aware of that. And there are safe places I go, like when you and I go out somewhere, I know you don't drink. It's not a concern. And I don't want to be, what are you laughing
Well,
at?
no, I mean, I'm a boring person to go out with.
Yeah, well, so am I.
Well, yeah, but in a good way.
No, you're safe.
That's right. That's a better word, safe.
And if you're in recovery, my guess is a lot of your old friends you don't see a lot anymore. Let's say your golfing buddies go in and have a beer after the round. I found that if I did that and had a Coke after they're on and they're drinking beers and they have a couple, all of a sudden I feel very lonely. And so I stopped going in. And you go, maybe that's an overreaction. You know what? I thought I was going to die from this, and I should have. So I take it very seriously.
So, George, let's talk about accountability, because I think if you have a trusted friend and you say, hey, December's really hard for me, can we check in 3 or 4 days a week?
Absolutely.
I'll text you at 7 in the morning or 7 at night, and I'll just know that I can connect with you and I'll hear back from you.
Yeah, it's not about being afraid. It's having a reverence that this could happen, that I've had an issue with this in the past, and I want to have a game plan going in. Also, not chemical-wise, but a lot of us, our families, we've had troubles growing up and, with relationships. And I know for me, where I go, and that person doesn't listen to this show, so I am not going to engage politically, on religion. I am going to go and enjoy the time. And I have to kind of concentrate on that. And I know a lot of people do. They go to the holidays and somebody says something, and the next thing you know, the holiday is not that much fun.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to make a decision. I'm going to be sober today with God's help. I pray for it. And I'm going to make a decision to be a good follower of Christ, not offending anybody, and being of service. And if I go in with that model, I usually have a really good day.
George, when we name some of the temptations that people are dealing with around the holidays, and again, it doesn't create these temptations, it just seems to put them in the spotlight. So you have things like overeating, overspending, alcohol, even loneliness can be really hard for people because they don't have invitations to festive events, and they feel more and more isolated. And the more isolated you feel, or the less socially connected you feel, the more tempted you are to do something self-destructive.
Totally. Poor me. Pour me another
pour me
drink.
works good.
And a lot of the recovery communities have things at the holidays. People will invite guys that, only go to men's accountability groups, have no place to go. And so it's celebrating the gift of Jesus and the gift of recovery. Because if you are sober, that's a miracle.
It is. Yeah. And then there's also the idea that we have to figure out how we're going to replace, how when a situation arises, we already have a replacement response ready to go. Because if you just try to resist, I think that's going to cause problems. But if you have a replacement strategy all set to go, you're going to be able to stop it immediately. That's my feeling.
I like that.
Well, yeah.
One of my escape strategy is I don't have to go.
Yeah, I get that. You love canceled plans, don't you?
No, I did that when I was using. Now I'm up front and go, I can't make it.
That's what I mean. Well, you don't want to go, but if you get plans and they get canceled, you get all excited, don't you?
Am I alone in this?
Yeah, no, you're not.
Okay.
No.
I really think, though, and I've seen a lot of people fail, and I did for 7 years. So if you're listening and you're going, hey, it's a little over the top, I'm going to be over the top to be safe. I've seen a lot of people that I've worked with go back. A lot of times they'll go in and they go, hey, we've got some non-alcoholic wine for you.
Oh, why would you want to even drink that?
Thank you.
Yeah, that seems
And my thought
no
is,
sense.
why don't you just give me some baking soda and I'll snort that, right?
I don't know why you would want to taste wine that tastes like wine but doesn't have the alcohol. That to me is a...
is that a trigger maybe?
Yeah, that seems like a big trigger.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah. I mean, I remember bringing you or saying to you, hey, I've got some Christmas cookies that my sister baked that I'm going to give you. And they're really delicious. And you said, is there vanilla in them? And I remember that was when I had first met you. And I thought, you're a little over the top.
I am.
But
Most of it burns off, but I always worried about...
But we're talking about triggers right now.
Yes.
And I was young in my understanding of recovery, and now I get it completely. What you don't want is something that's going to trigger you.
Yeah, it's not that it's going to buzz me up and you'll see me at the grocery store with a cart full of Oreos.
That's not it.
But one of the things that happened to me, the first Christmas I was married, my wife was in recovery, and she brought home a rum cake that somebody gave her.
Okay.
And she goes, look at it. And I'm going, that looks great. What kind of cake is it? It's a rum cake. And I thought, no. And when I was working one time, we were at a real nice party entertaining clients. And my boss said to me, you can't have any of the dessert here. I go, what do you mean, Steve? I had a great year. My customer, he goes, it's full of booze. Now, the reason he said that to me, he knew I was in recovery. It was early. He knew I was struggling.
Yeah.
You don't have to participate.
That's true.
And I'm overly guarded, but it's worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, are you that bad? Yeah, I am. And I see people go back all the time. There was a guy I knew when I first got sober that had 15 years. And he talked at a gathering that he had ordered a non-alcoholic beer. This is way back when they came out, which actually they do have alcohol in them. Non-alcoholic beers are for non-alcoholics because they do have a little alcohol in them, very little. And he said, I'm never going to do it again because I ordered one and I've got half of it left, and I went up to the bar to get another one, and that scared me. So I was playing golf with him a couple of weeks after he said that. And he came back after 9 and put it in the cart. And I go, hey, I thought you weren't going to do that anymore. And I'll condense what he said. But he said, work your own program.
Oh, okay.
And that guy's not sober.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that.
So do you take it seriously? I do, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you take it seriously. We're going to take a little break. You're listening to Real Recovery with Bill and George. Tonight's guests are Bill and George. We'll be right back. We're back with Real Recovery. Bill and George, our guests tonight are Bill and George. So, George, let's talk about the mindset, how people can drift back into a place where they find themselves, I don't like the word relapse, but this is what happens when people get stressed, especially this time of the year, and they want to change the way they feel. So they resort to something that they've used in the past that has worked for them, whether it's drugs or alcohol or food or gambling or pornography. It just goes on and on. Talk about how the mind works that leads you to a point of relapse.
Well, I always like to use relapse, the definition as relapse is the process by which we return to chemical use. That when you get to the end of it, you use. You didn't relapse, you used. So examples of that. I think Martin Luther said that Christianity is all about repenting, turning around and walking back towards Christ. So during a day, things are going to happen to you, which can trigger the relapse process. What I mean by that, what are your relapse warning signs? For me, boredom, intolerance, irritability, laziness. If I get too bored, will I drink? Absolutely. If I get too depressed, will I drink? If I get too lonely, will I drink? Yes, all of those. So my job is to keep me out of that. So let's say something happens, like out on the freeway. Somebody cuts inside me, in front of me, and that triggers an anger response. I need to get out of that and process that. And the Bible tells us, do not sin in your anger. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. So what happens is this builds up, and I'm angry at the driver, and I'm thinking, how could anybody be so foolish? Or maybe there's a different word, and the Bible says you're not supposed to call anybody a moron or an idiot, and you're not supposed to think that.
I know.
But it happens. And I like to think of them as challenge drivers, okay, when I'm in a good spot. I need to get rid of that and get back on the beam, but usually I don't. Then something else will happen. And I'm going farther and farther away from my contented spiritual walk, connected to God. I can't say 1 John that I love a God who I can't see when I don't love a brother who I can see. Very convicting. The whole point of this is to get the warning sign and go, hey, I'm doing it again. Mm-hmm. God, forgive me for this sin. Help me to get back. I go to step one. I am powerless over my anger, and unmanageable. Get to step two. God, help me. 3, follow his guidance for that. What does the word say? And that's the process by what happens. So let's say you had a real tough week. You're getting all your shopping done. You're in a hurry. You don't get your workouts in. You're not getting enough sleep. You go to somebody's house. Maybe the person you're with is mad at you. You get into a little spat in the car. You get there, and maybe an in-law or your own family says something to you. You give somebody a present, and is that what you got me? And that can trigger you right there. But it started way back.
I agree.
And that drink can look pretty good. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm overly paranoid on this. You can't get drunk from eating alcohol and foods unless you eat a lot of it and there's a lot of alcohol. Most of it burns off. I just don't want the taste coming back.
I don't.
That's a positive for me. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of places like bars when you go to that everybody's having a good time and they're playing the Christmas music and they got the decorations up. And I got to tell you, sometimes that looks pretty inviting to me. Mm-hmm. So I don't go to those places.
Yeah, that's wise. All right, let's talk a little bit about I want to go back to the before you get to the place where you're using again. And I think there's a dopamine reaction that happens early in your brain. I mean, it could be at 10 o'clock in the morning where the guy cuts you off and you go, okay, that's it. I've had enough. And I know I'm going to a party that night. So I've already made the decision at 10 o'clock that I'm going to have a drink that night at the party.
Yes.
So what I've learned from talking to people that have used drugs is once they decide in their brain that they're going to use, it might be 6 hours from now, but the dopamine run has begun.
That's excellent.
And the chase has started. So how do we nip that? How do we stop that from becoming a using experience?
Well, number one is to have your walk in a solid place all the time.
Amen.
We don't miss accountability groups. We don't miss church. We don't miss our Bible studies. We don't miss our daily devotion. You and I try to work out at least 5 days a week. And if I get out of those patterns where maybe I'm not getting enough sleep, I need 7 hours of sleep. And fortunately, the dog that I have, who wakes me up after 7 hours because she wants to go out, makes sure that I get to bed. I need that.
Yep.
And if any part of my recovery I don't get, I am in trouble. And a lot of times, Bill, and I know this happens to you, all Christians are in recovery. If you get in to do your job here and you haven't had enough sleep, or you've been doing other things that keep you away from your workouts, it can be very stressful. The job you have here is, and you got to take care of yourself. I can't believe that we have to make a point of taking care of ourselves. It's not selfish. It's taking care of the body and mind that God gave you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to do it. So you have to be prepared. If you miss your accountability group because you're out of town, go to the phone book, get on your phone, Google it, find another one you can go to. You need to take care of it. I always look like it. Recovery from drugs and alcohol is like being a diabetic. You need to take your insulin every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. And after a while, it becomes kind of seamless. And where you realize maybe you missed something, you're like, I don't feel like kind of mad at everybody today. Everybody seems grouchy. And that's you. There's a friend of ours named Bob B. who spoke at the Salvation Army, and he says guys in recovery are like the guy that gets on a bus, city bus with a machine gun and bullets across his chest, and sits down and wants to know why nobody wants to talk to him. It kind of starts with you and how you perceive things. Once again, bounce it off somebody.
Yeah.
I talk to several people every day in my recovery. I have one of my guys who calls me every day at 8:15 in the morning. And when I started working with him, he had 14 years sobriety. I said, you don't need to do that with me. He goes, no, you don't need to answer. I need to do it.
Interesting. So often you just know he's calling, but you're not talking. He's just leaving a message.
I might be doing something else. I always try to get back to him.
Yep.
But that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to work the program that's working for you.
Mm-hmm.
If I work my program works.
Yeah. I was thinking of all the emojis that you can find on your phone. And I don't know, there's 600 of them. There's a lot of emojis. But if you had an accountability person in your life and you could mutually pick an emoji, and all you had to do is send that person the emoji, and that would be an indication that you're in trouble or that you're feeling temptation. You don't have to sit and explain it. You just can text each other an emoji from your phone list that says, here's a heads up, I'm suffering right now. And that can you can respond with a text response or a phone call or let's get on the phone and pray together. I do think it's important in the moment to have tools that you can have at your disposal to say, look, I'm in trouble right now, versus trying to type out a text saying, oh, I'm really suffering right now. Just have an emoji you send somebody that indicates everything that they need to know about where you're at.
My guys and I have a text.
Oh, good.
911.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So there you go.
Yep.
Yeah. So you don't have to explain yourself. You just have to let them know. Because if you try to explain yourself, you may not do it.
The other one after the fact text that I never want to get is, we have a man down.
Yeah.
And that's immediate alert. One of the difference between my recovery friends and my using friends when I was using, if I call my recovery friends at 2 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, they'll get back to me.
Mm-hmm.
My using friends wouldn't because they can't.
Right.
And that's a difference. And I want to be one of those guys. I want to be there for people and, suit up and show up. And that's one of the things you do is you're available.
Yeah. George, let's talk about another tool, which is if you're at a party and you're feeling pressure, I always think if you change your environment, even for a short period of time, it's helpful. If you say, hey, excuse me, I got something in my car I have to go get. And you physically
leave?
No, you don't
Okay.
leave, but you physically remove yourself from the room. You go out to your car for 5 minutes and then come back in. It just breaks up the pattern that you're in. Not to mention in Minnesota, you're going to get a big dose of cold air. But that just gives you a moment to extract yourself from the environment that you're in. That's building up towards a possible relapse.
It's an excellent point, but what you have to say is be okay that that's happening. I think for a lot of us, we go, well, I'm not comfortable here, but I should be.
Right.
I should do that. I think a good thing to do would be to get a beeper and just tell everybody you're a volunteer fireman.
Yeah, I like that.
Because at church I used to go to, there were a couple of those guys, and it seemed to me when the sermon got a little too long, those things would go off and they'd go running out.
Yeah, I like that. You can hold up the beeper like, hey, I just got beeped, right?
Oh, it's loud.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a break and come back. We're going to continue, George and I, to talk about different ways that we can handle temptations that seem to increase around the Christmas time or the holiday season, and whether you suffer from drugs or alcohol or overeating or overspending or whatever it is, we're going to try to help you be equipped with God's word and also with God's strength. You don't do this on your own. We'll take a short break and be right back. We are back with Real Recovery. Bill and George, our guests tonight are us, I guess. George, you're doing a great job, by the way, as always. A lot of wisdom coming out of George F.
It's funny. I think back about the things that I've done to get sober this time, and it took me 7 years to get 1 year because I didn't do that stuff. And a lot of the things, I really feel like I only have so many no's in me. And one of my friends went back out a few years ago, and I said, what happened? I'm always interested in what happened because I'm a relapse counselor, but I'm also in recovery. I want to hear what happened. And he goes, well, we had this business deal. We were celebrating a big account, and we were, I think, out in California. And all the guys, knew I was in recovery because I told them, which I think is a great idea. And the waitress came by and said, do you want a drink? No, take water. Second time, no, good, take water. Third time, no good. Fourth time, caved.
Wow.
And I thought, you know what? I only have so many no's in me.
Mm-hmm.
I am not great at resisting temptation. I'm a lot better at avoiding it.
Yeah, sounds smart.
Now, you can't go, and the Blue Recovery book talks about moving to like Greenland to avoid it. But they also talk about people that the obsession to drink is lifted. And I've seen people go, if the obsession's lifted, I can go anywhere if I'm in a fit spiritual condition. Don't neglect the back part of that. I've seen a lot of people go to bars and hang out with their buddies, and after a while, their guard goes down and they go back. Mm-hmm. Most people don't stay sober. And the reason is, I think we do, okay, God, help me to get sober. Okay, I got this. I'll take it from here. I got a guy who's in California now that who was here, who did that. Mm-hmm. Never would have seen that coming. Mm-hmm. Stopped doing what he was doing. So if you're going to go someplace that you're worried about it, and listen to your gut, trust your gut. If you're worried about it, it's a high stress situation for using, don't go.
So smart. George, let's talk about the idea that whatever you use, that sin will somehow satisfy you. You're talking about your friend who says no 3 times and the 4th time says yes. do they really think that that sin will satisfy what they're out seeking? Because they know their sobriety is so important.
I think there can be moments of insanity. What I see happen is people really forget in the moment that they're not thinking. You put all this work into it. Why do people sin? You see scandals every day of good people that let their guard down. Pride comes before the fall. Let every man take heed lest he stumble. You're not sober without God. You know, don't go patting yourself on the back that you're sober. I think it's something to feel very good and be proud of, but remember who gave you the desire to do it and the power to do it. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can't do all things through George, who has all the answers. The Big Blue Recovery book says, as I said earlier, that the obsession to drink will be lifted. What I wish it also said was, yeah, but the thought's going to come back. The fiery dart of the enemy out of Ephesians 3. Look, for me right now, I haven't had a drink in 41 years. I can take that to the jury in my head and go, you know, boys, I think I was misdiagnosed. I've helped a lot of people stay sober. I've got this. I'm sure I could have a drink. I was a lot younger. One of my mentors is 82. And he told me the reason he still goes to accountability groups is he can see when his wife, who's in bad health, dies, and he likes to watch baseball, which I can't understand. Like, he watches every game he can. He said, I can see a day coming where I'd be watching the game going, you know, beer would really be good. And he said, I know it's coming. I just don't know when. And for me, I know there's going to be a time, because it's happened, it's been a few years, where taking a drink seems like a really good idea. And I need to have stuff in my sobriety bank account to write the check.
Yeah. You bring up an interesting point, George, talking about your mentor. And we have paired activities in life. And I think we need to call those out and recognize them and say them out loud and talk to friends about them. Sitting and watching a game and having a beer, that's a paired activity.
Yes.
Going to a game and having a beer would be a paired activity. People say, you know, I love a morning coffee and a cigarette. They pair those two together. So you have to start to realize that if I don't want to return to using, I have to be very careful about the pairings that I have in my life.
Yeah, it's very interesting you'd bring that up. I know a lot of guys who are sober that don't smoke anymore. And one guy told me one time, he goes, you know, I was really thinking about drinking, but I couldn't have a cigarette anymore.
Interesting.
And so I thought and then I realized, what are you doing? There are moments where you're going to leave your senses. And the Blue Recovery book talks about sometimes the only defense against that first drink comes from God. The Bible tells me he won't allow temptation that's more than what I'm capable, and he'll always show me a way out. And I think what you got to get rid of is your ego and go, hey, I'm in trouble here, boys.
Yeah.
And it's happened to me, and afterwards you go, oh, my. I don't think Satan wants us sober. And I think he's going to try to destroy every Christian's life with temptations. And if you're a recovering addict, alcoholic, or bulimic or anorexic, the holidays are going to be prime time. Front and center, be ready.
Matthew 26:41 says, watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. And when I think of that, that's a great warning, of course, but in your using days, George, was there a time of day that you were at your weakest?
Usually when I was awake.
Okay, so all you had to do was be alert and up.
I have a great gift of messing things up at the worst possible time.
Okay.
And most of the guys I talk to that are alcoholic have that gift where you don't want to do it, but you wind up doing it.
Okay.
You know, getting blot out when your family's coming over or, you know, a kid's game. People get driving under the influence tickets, taking their grandkids to the mall, picking their kids up at a sporting event. And I would venture they're not bad people. You go, how could you do that? Because your will's not your own when you're under the power of a chemical. It's gone. But you have to face the consequence when you sober up, and sometimes it's horrible.
You had mentioned 1 Corinthians 10:13 that God is faithful and he will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will provide a way of escape. Doesn't it make perfect sense in the moment of temptation to cry out, Lord, I need to see where this exit ramp is that you're talking about? You know, on the highway of sin, God provides exit ramps all over the place. And sometimes you pass the first one and the second one. You can always look back and say, boy, I remember when I could have gotten off on that first exit ramp, and I didn't.
There was a book many years ago on business, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah.
Steve Covey.
Yeah.
And the first habit was begin with the end in mind. So with me, if I'm going somewhere, I've got my exit plan already. And I'm like you in a lot of these things, you really don't want to go, but you have to. You really have to. And the Big Blue Recovery book talks about the only time we go into places where alcohol is served is if we have a legitimate reason to be there.
Okay. With accountability, right?
Yeah. And so, maybe your family's that. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I found out this time, I never did it before. I was secret agent man about my recovery. Like nobody knew I was a drunk cocaine addict. Once I get sober, you can't know it. I still find myself, when I'm in a situation where I could be in trouble, I will let somebody know. Yeah, I'm a sober guy. I'm a drug counselor. And that gives me some protection because I hear it.
Yeah. Interesting. Because, George, no doubt you have tried to negotiate with temptation, haven't you?
No, usually I just willingly cave.
Yeah.
And I know that'll always be attractive at a certain time. I had dinner with a girl who was a friend of mine in recovery 15 years ago. We were downtown Minneapolis, summer day, out on the sidewalk at the restaurant, looking over, and I could smell the wine from the next table. And I said, that really looks good. She goes, well, would you like to have one? I go, yeah, that would be good. And she goes, what are you going to do after that? I go, well, I'd have another one. She goes, would you do that? I'd have them bring the bottle over. She goes, what then? I said, then we go looking for Coke.
Wow.
And
George.
She goes, what would happen then?
Whoa.
And I got it. Begin with the end in mind. Think it through. I always tell my guys, I used to go to a lot of movies before COVID, and I'd see the previews, the Candy Band bill. I even liked that, Candy Band. And they have the trailers, the preview of the movie. And I'd go, I want to go see that. I want to go see that. It's one of my spots where I become a kid again. Probably have too many of those in my life, but that's a whole other show. And a lot of times you go to the movie, and it's horrible. Well, that's like using in my head. The first part's great, but I want to make sure I watch the whole movie. And that's what she did. She was in recovery. She took me right along to where I'm in detox.
Yeah.
I've been in jail.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't want to do it.
Perfect.
Well, what we do is segment it. My wife won't mind if I do this. God won't mind. My boss won't. And we trick ourselves into thinking it. You have a guest on your show, Dr. Glenn Pickering, who talks about one of the most important and difficult questions is, what do you really want? What do you really want? And for me, when I think that through, do I want to go to jail? Do I want to lose my sobriety? No. But I have to think it through sometimes.
Well said, George Fraser. All right, we're going to take a little break. You're listening to Real Recovery. Bill and George will be right back. Welcome to Real Recovery. If you just joined us, George and I are talking about how Christmas time can amplify the temptations that we already live with. They just get bigger. And so we're trying to come up with some ways to handle temptations that seem to spike a little bit at Christmas time. And George, I think you were going to tell a little story about Glenn.
Yes.
friend, our
One of,
friend.
one of my favorite guys. You know him. I don't know anybody who has worked with more people in recovery, helping them get sober, than Glenn. And Glenn tells the story. He's about 10 years sober, I think. And he kept seeing these advertisements on TV for Zima, the clear alcohol. Great, looking cool people drinking Zima.
It's actual alcohol.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's sitting at home one night watching TV, and he's thinking, I never had Zima. They didn't have it when I was drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go out and get a Zima.
Oh.
Moment of insanity. So he walked down to a bar, went up to the bar to get a Zima, and the bartender goes, "What do you want, sir?" He said, "Bourbon and water." And he was back out for 5 years.
Wow.
Never had Zima.
He didn't even have it.
Never
that
had
night.
it, but lost his sobriety, and God allowed him to come back.
Wow.
But you go, that's insane. Yeah, we have the capability of doing that. I think anybody, if you're alcoholic or not, if you decide to go against God's will, that qualifies as insanity.
Mm-hmm. So he used that as an excuse to get back in the bar. When he got back in the bar, he just went with what he used in the past.
Yep.
And when he was watching that commercial and seeing these commercials, at that moment, as he was sitting in his house, that dopamine rush went off.
Totally.
I'm going to get up, put on my shoes, and go to a bar.
Yep.
So the journey had begun. I always want to know, how do you truncate that journey so you don't end up at the bar?
Well, I don't know about truncating it, but
I'm using big words.
It.
I don't mean to talk over your head.
Yeah, you forgot who was on here with it. It's a great, great question. I don't have an answer to it. What I do see with people is that's not what happened. It's what happened before. Stop going to your accountability groups. Stop talking to God. Stop being in the Word. Stop working out. Because once it happens, if you look in the rearview mirror, you see a lot of exit ramps that you could have gotten off of, but you stayed on it. And I am very humbled by the fact that a lot of the stuff seemed like a really good idea to me that wasn't. There's a great commercial now about, it's for a bank, about the 15-year-old kid that wants his mom to give him $80 so he could buy a heavy metal T-shirt. And it says, Mom, on the other hand, sees many holes in this idea. And it takes us a while, and maybe we can't get it without being accountable to people about, hey, this is what I'm going to do. What do you think? And we need to have people that have our permission to tell us what they think. Rather than, you probably heard me say this a lot. Are you asking me what I think?
You say that all the time, which I always appreciate, by the way.
And because I know how it is for me to have unsolicited feedback.
Yeah.
It's very condescending.
Doesn't go well.
But I want to have people, and you're one of the guys that I do bounce stuff off of. And you know what I learned? If I go out ahead of God, and I can't see God, but there's the hands and feet of guys like you and Denny and Dick and Tommy. Okay, a little. We'll get to Tom maybe eighth. But I don't poll all my friends to see who agrees with me like I used to do.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to what they say. And I go, why don't I want to do that then? God, can you show me something on this? The other thing we keep getting back to is you don't have to do it. Just because you think it doesn't mean you have to do it. But if you're going somewhere, I hope you have a great Christmas. Go with a plan in mind. And I don't want you to be the sober cab. I think that's a real bad idea.
What does that mean?
You're the sober driver for a bunch of drunks. If you're really in recovery, real easy to cave. If you're a Christian who's not in recovery, that's a great missionary event.
Okay.
If you've got people that are cocktailing. Because you know what's going to happen? It's like 4th of July every year. Somebody blows their hand off. And every one of them's thinking, somebody says something, honey, I don't think you should do this. Hey, you know what? I got this, so zip it. This is going to be great. And every New Year's Day, we hear about people that killed other people driving drunk. And what's ironic, it seems like a lot of times the only person who survives is the drunk driver, which is just horrible because they died that night too.
True. So, George, I love in Matthew 4 when Jesus is tempted by Satan and he's been in the wilderness for 40 days. Clearly, he's without food for 40 days. You're hungry, or maybe you're not hungry after 40 days. I don't know. But he offers him this, turn these stones into bread. And I love the fact that Jesus always responds with, it is written. So he's not responding with his feelings. He's responding with truth. And I think if we condition ourselves to be able to respond this way with truth, kind of the way you talked about having your friend take you on that scenario where you end up using more and more drugs and end up, in jail or something, that you could just speak the truth right from the beginning and not based on, you're not making a response based on your feelings. Would you like a drink? Well, your feelings are, I'd love a drink, right? Your thinking is, that'd be the dumbest thing in the world for me to do.
One of my mentors, we were out in July one year, bunch of us early in recovery, and the waitress asked him, do you want a drink? And he said, I do, but I have to be home for Christmas. And I thought, that's probably true. There's a verse in 1 Corinthians that bad company corrupts good character.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want to have people that are on George's sober team that I know I'm safe to go out with, that will tell me when I'm getting too full of myself and my ego takes over. In the recovery rooms, we talk about ego being edging God out, and that's where it is. One of my friends says his ego isn't his amigo. I go, don't ever say that again. I got it.
His ego is his amigo?
It's not his amigo.
Was it not his amigo?
It's like, don't ever say that again.
No.
We're not friends if you do.
Yeah.
But that's the process. So have a plan, really enjoy Christmas. But I think we've talked all hour, and one of the things I do, and I know we didn't do this intentionally, what is the reason for Christmas, Bill?
Celebrating the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And boy, if that doesn't just bring you joy every time you think of it, whatever temptation you might have in front of you, you can exchange whatever temptation you have with the thought that you need to keep your eyes fixed on Jesus and the joy that is before you.
Perfect.
No.
And if I remember that, that's why I'm going over there.
Mm-hmm. And Galatians 5:16 says, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. So let's be walking in the Spirit. George, I think you made a great encouragement to study the Word, have accountability, be in Bible studies or churches, and just have people around you that are on Team George.
Yep.
And you're going to be much better off.
It's a very small group, but a lot of my mentors have passed on because I'm old.
Wow. I appreciate this hour, George. I think it's going to help a lot of people that are going to be right now going to parties and finding themselves in a place of maybe isolation or frustration or stress. And George, I'm going to give you the final word.
Well, there's one last thing. There are going to be situations that look pretty good for you to drink. I haven't had a drink in a long time, but when I'm around good wine and I smell it, it smells great. When I'm around cigars that are really nice, that smells really good to me. And I have to remember that the trick for me is it might start well, but it's going to end bad.
Amen.
And it's okay for me to leave. But the reason it smells good to you, you like to drink.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, George, what a great show. Thank you so much for listening to Real Recovery tonight. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Programming like this is made available through your support. Information available at myfaithradio.com.